gonna give me a round. Good evening, and welcome to the North Rock School District Board meeting. We're so happy to see you. We have a wonderful superintendent who he's very proud of the North Rock School District, Dr. Paluski. At this time, we are open for public comments. Public comments.
Good evening to Dr. Paluski and the board and to everybody that's here. I just have a suggestion. I know we've been meeting on about 7th Street. I attended one of the community meetings, and since then I've been thinking, and I would just like to throw out the idea concerning 657. The doors of North Little Rock High School was closed to those 6 students. And I was thinking the other night what a wonderful thing that would be if we could have a sort of like a memorial or an area by the steps of North Little Rock High School, getting maybe a Arkansan that could do sculptures or a nice thing with all of them listed. And as a reminder of the students as they attend North Little Rock High School, those 6 that paved the way for so many. And I thought that would be wonderful in lieu of 7th Street being named 657. And since they have no connection, none of the 6 have any connection to that area, but it will make a great impact to the community as well as the students if 657 could be at North Little Rock High School. Thank you.
Are there other public comments? Are there other public comments? Yes. Okay.
Hello, school board, and those who represent North Little Rock School District and all our students. My name is Richard Tatum. Many of you know me. I wanted to basically lay out where I stand on this, so I could be very clear about it. I have no challenge to the academic plan that is proposed for 7th Street. I think it's a great idea. I think our model of education that we've been using is antiquated. It's time to be updated. I'm all for it. I am in opposition to the 6th through 8th grade in that building without some sort of permanent physical barrier or a new building. Another thing I've had a problem with is the dissemination of information, which has come through in a very seemingly dishonest manner. I cannot say that that was the intent, but I can say that's how it comes across. Another thing I have a problem with is having the teachers reapply for their jobs. We are down to bare bones in that school as far as teachers. These teachers have been through the worst. They've been unsupported. They've had to put their own money into supplies. They've had to deal with behavior issues. Some of them are tenured, some of them a couple decades in the school district and are now being told they have to reapply for their jobs. That seems very, very much a disservice to them. It would be more befitting to give teachers an opportunity to opt out if they did not want to remain there, but to make the teachers who have gutted it out, these people are basically educational like battle warriors or what they are, and they're being told they have to reapply for their jobs. And I think that's just a dishonor. So I have a problem with that. I'm not a fan of the 657 name. I am in favor of renaming it for the North Little Rock 6. But the name 657 just doesn't sound personal. It doesn't sound attached to anything. It sounds impersonal. Not saying that it is, but it just sounds that way. So I think we could do a better job on a name. I want to be a part of the solution. I'm not here to just complain. I want to be part of the solution. I raised my hand as a parent who should have definitely been more involved from the beginning. I was not. I own that. But it is time to now get involved and do what is right by our students, do what is right by our teachers. But also, this plan has to do something about addressing the issues that our students are facing. Homelessness, underhousing, mental health issues. I've talked to a lot of teachers, and that seems to be the common thread is student mental health, not addressed. Let's address those things, because if we don't, it doesn't matter what we do in that building. this will come back again and again and again. So I think as a community, we would like to work together, but everything has to be done in earnest instead of seeming underhanded and backdoor deal type. It would be very great if we could get to that level where we could trust each other. This is a community that already has trust issues, and these kind of things do not help. So I am here to help. I'm here to get involved, but I would like to see a lot more respect shown to our teachers who survived and to address the issues that have already occurred. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there other public comments? Are there other public comments? If there are no more, this meeting is called to order. Thank you. At this time, we will have the invocation and flag salute by N. Ultra. N. And N, if I mispronounced your name, would you please say who you are when you come up here, okay? I apologize.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Ian Ochoa.
All right, thank you.
So do you want me to say the pledge?
Sure.
So for the prayer, thanks everybody for inviting me, and that God bless everybody that is here. May God bless everybody that has come to this meeting, and that God may bless every family that's in need. Any family that doesn't have food, doesn't have a shelter, doesn't have water, please, God, please help them. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Ian, is your dad, mom here? All right. So glad you brought him, sir, and thank you. You did an excellent job. All right, thank you. At this time, we will have Mackenzie Izika. Mackenzie, she is from 7th Street Elementary. Miss Hampton is a principal.
No.
7th.
Seventh, eighth.
Middle school. 7th grade.
Seventh grade. Okay.
Okay. You can proceed.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Mackenzie Izika. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Good job, well done. Let's give our students a hand. Very good. Okay. Vision and mission statement, Dr. Redis.
Our vision statement, world-class schools for world-class students. Our mission statement, the North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Roll call, Ms. Colquitt. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Redis.
Here.
Ms. McLean.
Here.
Ms. Temple.
Here.
Ms. West.
Here.
Mr. Steele.
Here.
Okay. At this time, we will have recognition of people and events.
Madam President, 6.1 is our annual student presentation, and I believe Mr. Clark is here, our principal of our 6th grade campus, to introduce our students that will be recognized for their presentation.
Madam President, school board members, Dr. Paluski, it's my pleasure to bring some of our outstanding students before you tonight to go over some of the great things that are happening at North Little Rock Middle School. in the past we've kind of focused on one item, but we wanted to talk about multiple things that are happening at our campus. And so with me here this evening, I have Mackenzie, Zoe, Nikendall, and Caden. And so they will be helping me present this evening. The first one I'm going to start off on, we were recognized for this, but it's just something that we always want to recognize the award that we won for beating the odds for 2022 in math for the Central Region. So that is something that as a school we are very proud of. We were ranked 3rd out of all the middle schools in the Central Region for our improvement in our math scores from last year's ACT Aspire. So again, very, very proud of that one.
The North Little Rock 6th grade campus canned food drive was a competitive game between all teams to raise money for the Amboy Food Pantry. Our 6th grade campus raised over 9,700 items for the Amboy Food Pantry.
That's awesome.
Our school did a penny war for a student who unfortunately had cancer, I believe, and the penny war was a kind of competitive game between all the 6 teams and the teachers, where we could bring our pennies and dollar bills to help raise money for the students' trip to Disneyland. We completed our goal of over $1,000, and we were able to have a fun competition with it.
Oh, congratulations.
The spelling bee that happened this year was the second of the annual spelling bee for the North Little Rock Middle School 6th grade campus. We started out by having every single team have their English classes do the spelling bee against each other. The top 5 of those classes were put against each other in a team spelling bee, and the top 5 of the team spelling bee went on to the school-wide one. There were 25 students in the school-wide spelling bee, but Cooper Wooldridge got first place and went on to the county spelling bee, where he got second place.
Awesome.
At the NLR farm at NLR Middle School 6th grade campus, we have many animals that we show responsibility to take care of. Once you are assigned a pet for maybe 2 weeks or more, you have to take care of them and treat them like your own, no matter what. This farm teaches you responsibility and allows you to be able to get into a new comfort zone and do different things. You are allowed to weed, plant, take care of animals, and do all sorts of things. And plus, you get a really wonderful teacher.
Destination Imagination is a club at our school for which you would work on your STEAM capabilities. Science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. Destination Imagination helps students get more creative and have more critical thinking and how they read stuff. This also allows students to participate in fun games. Like, I know someone who is in Destination Imagination, and for one of the things, they said that they had to come up with a script for a kind of short play, and they presented it, and they practiced it for under a minute, and they presented it to the judges, and they said it was really fun for them.
All right.
Lexia is a program that is used to improve 3 components: grammar, comprehension, and word study. Lexia has 12 to 15 units per level and 12 to 15 levels per component. For each level that the student completes, they get to place their name on our Lexia Level Up wall.
The sixth grade campus offers a variety of 30 different clubs that students can participate in to learn more about their interests. Some of these clubs include basketball, soccer, tennis, running, fishing, tinker and tech, taekwondo, ukulele, podcasting, cheering, American Sign Language, arts and crafts, drama, pre-med, yearbook, and student council and student voice.
All right.
Club Parent and Community Night was where your parents can come and learn what you're doing in your clubs. You also got to play cool games, and in a French club, you got to be able to taste a certain type of bread that they made and that you learned about. There's also posters and food trucks that you have options from. You have Kula Ice, I think a wing food truck, and a pork one. They also provided like where you could talk to your teachers and see how your kids are doing in class.
Very good.
And this particular award just came in today, so it did not make it on the slide. As some of you may know, our East Conference team was in Hot Springs, and as they were coming back, KJ sent me a picture that our middle school won the Judge's Choice Award. And this is for the Superior East Conference team. So she was trying to text all this to me so I would make sure I did this right, because if not, she'd get me. That is for the Superior East program, and there are only 20 East programs that received this award, and there were 308 attending in the conference.
Wow.
So congratulations to our East students, our East Conference team, and to Mr. Dillon, Ms. Newmeyer, and KJ. They did a great job representing us. So.
Okay, could you have their parents, they were so articulate, they did not memorize, they memorized everything, whether you all know it or not, they didn't have any notes up here. But they spoke very well. If the parents could come up and take a group picture with them, Mr. Barnes will handle the directions of how you could stand. Come on down. You will be on YouTube tonight. So smart.
They did very well.
Right.
Any parents?
Let me get this.
Oh, just student first?
Justin's like, hold up.
I was gonna get the students, but then I'm gonna get all the families. Yeah. I'm gonna get
Okay.
Can y'all move over a little bit? No, this way. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now the families.
That is so nice.
Yeah, just get you closer. Yeah, that'll be good.
Here you go.
One, two,
How about
three.
the parents?
1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Great job. Thank you again, parents, for taking out your time to bring your children. Thank you again.
Madam President and members of our Board of Education, our next item is 6.2, which is a special recognition. I would like to call up forward. Number one would be Ms. Carla Wisnat, who is the principal of the Center of Excellence, and Sergeant Sims, who is our supervisor of our FSROs. If you could please come forward, please, to be recognized. I always like it when people are surprised at being recognized. You know, every single day in our school system, we are honored to have the employees that we have that not only look out for every single child, but they look out for every single employee. Many of you may know Mr. Kirkland. He is a longtime resident of our community, and he has also been a substitute. You may have seen on some Facebook pages, but unfortunately, one day, I believe it was last month, Mr. Kirkland had fallen at school, and it was believed that he had gone into cardiac arrest. And immediately, and I've watched the video, Sergeant Sims and Ms. Wisnat immediately went into CPR in a moment's notice. And I know and I believe that it's my understanding that Mr. Kirkland is doing much better. I think he's home.
He's home.
And he's home. And we just wanted to recognize these two employees for not flinching at all, but recognizing one of our employees, one of our community members needed help, and immediately helped them. You know, when we talk about why it's important to learn CPR, this is just a living example of the type of employees that we have and the type of partnership that we have with the North Little Rock School District. And I know for myself, the board, and this community, just thank you for your quick response as leaders to assisting Mr. Kirkland. Is there anything you'd like to say before I hand you this great certificate?
Just doing my job. Ditto.
Is there anybody here that would like to come up?
Sergeant Sims, is your parents here tonight?
Our first recipient of the Superintendent's Honor Roll tonight is Heather, and help me out, Hayslip? Hayslip. Okay, I didn't get the pronunciation before tonight. Heather Hayslip teaches special education at Lakewood Elementary. She has been recommended by her principal, Ms. Courtney Bost, to receive the Superintendent's Honor Roll. Principal Boss writes the following: Ms. Hayslip has gone above and beyond this school year to help all students be successful. She has started doing inclusion with her students. In doing this, she is helping so many other students who need extra support to be helpful. Not only does she help students, but she goes above and beyond for her colleagues. We have a teacher out right now, and Ms. Hayslip held all of her parent conferences and has done weekly planning with the substitute in the classroom. There is not one thing I could ask of her that she wouldn't do or try. We need more people like this in the North Little Rock School District. Congratulations.
Come on. Yes.
Okay, y'all going on down there.
Priorities.
One, two, three. Thank you. The next recipient is Mr. Dwight Kelly, the assistant principal at Glenview Elementary School. His supervisor, Ms. Tiffany Randall, the principal at Glenview, recommended him to receive this honor. Ms. Randall writes the following: "He is a selfless leader with a servant's heart who goes above and beyond the call of duty. He works day in and out, building relationships with students, parents, and the staff. He sets high expectations for students and staff. If you ever visit the school, you will need to be fast on your feet because he moves around the building faster than anyone, even the principal, and she is pretty fast. He is always ready to step in, assist where needed, even if that means another campus in the district that is in need. He always has a smile on his face and makes coming to work a joy. We could not ask for a better assistant principal and colleague. To know him is to love him. These are just a few of the reasons why he deserves to be recognized, but the list could go on and on. Thank you, Mr. Kelly, for all that you do." So Mr. Kelly could not come tonight, but his wife and children are here representing him, so they will take this honor to him.
I've been trying to keep it a secret from him.
Center. 1, 2, 3. Next is Human Resource Generalist Delandria Reddix. She's being recommended by her supervisor, Mr. Jacob Smith, Executive Director of Human Resources, to receive the Superintendent's Honor Roll Award. Mr. Smith writes the following: "I am writing to recommend Ms. Delandria Reddix for the Superintendent's Honor Roll. Dee is being recommended due to her exceptional performance. She is responsive to her duties and is always willing to go above and beyond. Dee onboards all of our licensed staff, and she listens and interact with individuals, and when you listen to her interact with individuals, it will bring a smile on your face. She is a people person and truly meets no stranger. Dee is also an incredibly driven individual. With a master's in human resources and a passion for staying caught up on state initiatives, she brings her expertise to her job that is rivaled by none. Dee's passion project is an NLRSD teacher residence program where she has been working with the state to provide our homegrown classified staff a pathway to enter the teacher profession and serve our students and families in a different capacity. When I first met Dee, her description of herself was supportive, and in 3 years I have known her, she has never let me down. Our department is a tripod, and Dee is the calming voice that always brings our thoughts back to the task at hand. She is a constant rock, and her faith always guides her, which in turn guides our department. Dee's high energy and can-do attitude are staples in our office, and I have come to depend on them. In closing, Dee is the bedrock of our office, and her leadership skills, work ethic, and enthusiastic attitude allow us to succeed every day. Thank you, Dee, for your loyalty and service."
Crew.
You be mean to me, though. You be mean to me, though.
They've got the best snacks, too.
Now, our last superintendent's honor roll is kind of different, and in my 4 years here, this is a different one for me. But this honor is been recommended by a parent in our district, and they want to recognize Mr. Noble. So we will ask Ms. Shepard to come at this time.
I know that's right. Dee
Wayne Noble.
Right.
I'm the mother of Peyton Shepherd. She's an 8th grader at the middle school, where Miss Hampton is the principal, and of course the awesome Mr. Noble. I've known Mr. Noble for some years. I knew him because I had a son. Well, I do have a son. He's 24 now. He attended the North Little Rock Boys and Girls Club after school. He went out to Maumelle, and the bus transported him here to the Boys and Girls Club. At the time, he was 6, and he was like really little and scrawny. Mr. Noble, that's when I first got the whiff of Mr. Noble. When I tell you them kids loved him, and by me being, I'm not gonna tell you my age, but by me being a younger parent at that time, I didn't realize what it was to be an adult, to put so much into a child or, your job, until I became grown, got a degree, and hey, here I am. So it went from there, knowing him from the Boys and Girls Club with my son. Never told Mr. Noble thank you, because my mind sight was not there to recognize and to be like, oh, Mr. Noble, he's so good, but this year he has my daughter. But yeah, just give me a minute. She had some struggles. And when I tell y'all, from then until now, the Mr. Noble that I know, when I tell y'all this man is awesome, my baby and some of the other kids from the school, they talk about Mr. Noble all the time. And when I tell y'all, this means so much to me, because as a young girl coming from the Marche community, and I went to Oak Grove High School, my parents wasn't there to like bag me up for stuff like this. I'm the type of mother, I didn't have it, so I'm gonna break my neck to be there for my kids. And as long as it's anything positive, I'm gonna support. I didn't recognize you then, Mr. Noble, at the Boys and Girls Club, for the work that you did with all those kids coming from Eastgate, Silver City, everywhere. Do you hear me? Mm-hmm. But now that I'm an adult, well, I was an adult then, but I'm grown. And I realized you're very special. You don't know how special you are. But just being able to stand here in your presence, I smile in your face all the time. You never knew. Just last night you asked me, did you do that? I was like, no, But I just want you to know, teachers, people that spend time with kids 8 hours or more a day, y'all deserve way more pay than what y'all get. And if I could give it to y'all, I would. Mr. Noble tells the kids, I'm leaving, I'm not gonna be here next year. That's when it first went to my head. My daughter was like, Mama, Mr. Noble said he's not gonna be there next year. And I'm like, okay, well, you're going to the 9th grade, so that's not gonna matter. But it is gonna matter, because he's gonna have an impact on somebody else's child, like he did mine. You just don't know. You mean so much to my family. Like I said, now that I have the mindset and I can look back on way back when I was young, and now that I am the woman and the grown woman and the mother that I am, I just want to say thank you. I should have gave you this long time ago, years ago. But like I said, now I want to say thank you. You deserve this. All y'all teachers, educators, y'all go through so much. And just being in the classroom with a kid every day, I couldn't do it. But a lot of people don't realize how special you guys are to our kids, or how an impact you guys put on our kids. Okay. And like I said, I just want to give you your flowers. Wow. It's time. And I want to say thank you, Mr. Noble. I love you. And please, could I pay you to go to the high school? Please.
Says no.
Can I pay you to transfer over to the high school so I don't have to send my baby?
There's a lot of people above me. That's
that's out of my control. There's a lot of people I have to answer for. They have a lot of things they expect me to do. So I can present it to them. I just don't know.
Is there anything like you need to say about this award, Mr. Noble?
I am very honored that it is very special that that a parent, any parent, takes the time out just to say thank you. Sometimes it's not so much what they hand you in front of people just to say thank you, because people don't have to be nice, but it's nice that people are nice.
Dwayne.
Okay.
I gotta submit the candidate.
Mr. Noble, Peyton asked me to get this made for you. So I want to say thank you for all you do for my baby and the rest of the kids, but I do want you to go to the high school. But I'm going to let Peyton speak. But this is from the Shepherd household. You've made a difference in her life.
I'm trying not to cry.
Thank you.
Mr. Noble has been there for me as a teacher, like he is my own father. Mr. Noble has shown me multiple responsibilities in and out of school. I just want to say thank you, Mr. Noble, for what you do for all of the kids. And it's not just me to talk about you. It's a lot of kids that talk about you and recognize the talent that we see in you, Mr. Noble. So I want to say thank you.
Do we have it in this contract that he cannot leave the North Little Rock School District? We'll make sure that clause is in there.
The board would have to accept.
Hey, that's all right. We got that.
Dr. Reddish, get in there with your brother.
We thank Mr. Noble. It's good to hear that from teachers, from students. Thank you, cousin.
Congratulations, Mr. Noble.
How do you come after that? But I'll try. So Ms. Crystal Barker, parent engagement coordinator, is not here today, so she asked me to present our next two awards on her behalf. So we're going to start with our March Parent North Star. Our March recipient has served as a homeroom mom and treasurer of Indian Hills PTA, attended many field trips, book fairs, fall carnivals, fundraisers, and fairy tale shows. At North Little Rock Middle School, she served as the parliamentarian of the PTA and found a space helping at the East Farm, where her older children grew in their middle school years. Our recipient states that she enjoyed working at the farm and sharing her knowledge of agriculture and helping at times in other East programs when students have questions about engineering projects, because this is an area she has worked in her career. When I joined the NLRSD family as the parent and family coordinator, our recipient had just been elected to serve as the North Little Rock PTA Council treasurer, a role she carried out with professionalism and honor. She is a member of the inaugural parents who serves on the superintendent's advisory board and is completing a 2-year term as the Crestwood PTA treasurer. Our recipients say the following: as a 5-year-old, I first walked through the doors of Indian Hills Elementary with a Mary Lou Retton haircut and a smile on my face. After 13 years walking in the halls of Indian Hills, 7th Street, Lakewood Middle School, and East and West Campus of North Little Rock High School. The investment of hundreds of teachers, administrators, and fellow students sent me out into the world to make a difference. I would say the relationships with fellow parents and our NLRSD teachers and administrators is one of the blessings of volunteering in our schools. Seeing the joy on a child's face when they get to participate in an activity, get a new pair of glasses, or enjoy field day makes it all worth to invest in my kids' school. Oh, I would also say that my parents were huge examples to me on how to serve in schools. They came to all the football and basketball games. I cheered and participated in band. My mom was a long-time PTA volunteer, and my dad always taught me the value of hard work. Our recipient is the mom of Reagan, a third grader at Crestwood, and 2 former NLRSD students, Meredith and Russ. When we get our parent wall of fame, our recipient's photo will be hanging there. She is a proud graduate of North Little Rock High School, class of 1998. Dr. P., Board of Directors, North Little Rock staff, family, and friends, help me salute our March 23 Parent North Star, Miss Rachel Lipsy.
That's great. That's great.
Our Great Rising Award recipient for the month of March is no stranger to North Little Rock to the North Little Rock School District. He is a proud graduate of North Little Rock High School class of 2009. Growing up and experiencing many different facets of life, our recipient discovered a way to turn negatives into positives. Our recipient is the founder and owner of The Lab. The Lab is a dance studio created to give the youth of Central Arkansas a place to come and express themselves through dance. With the concept of a mad scientist, they encourage the youth to put on the white lab coat and get in the lab and create. They use dance to redirect the negative energy and emotions into something more positive and express it through dance moves. The lab works with children starting at age 4 to 18. They have performed in parades as well as local schools. I am highlighting this recipient because he has been volunteering in our schools, and when I learned of his program, I met with him, and willingly he came to the office and completed a mentor orientation and has agreed to bring his dance concept, dancing out the negative energy, to the North Little Rock School District. Great plans are on the horizon. Dr. Paluski, Board of Education, staff, families, and friends, help me salute our March Great Rising Mentor recipient, Mr. Kenneth Womack.
Y'all might recognize some of these faces there if you go to North Little Rock Middle. She go right now. But if I say a few words, about the president of the board. I grew up right around the corner. Okay, I grew up right around the corner, Sycamore Street, 17th and Pike. Okay, I came from definitely came from a rough past. Joined the Army. They laughing at me right now because. Hey, I love these kids. Okay? This was my daughter right here.
Okay.
Grew up around the corner. Like you said, I graduated from North Little Rock. Been in North Little Rock most of my life. I recognized something. I thought I joined the Army in 2009 to get my life together because, I was headed down the wrong path. Okay? I'm just say that. Headed down the wrong path. So I had to come up with something to do other than run the streets all day. and do the bad things that I was doing. Joined the Army, got my life together, such. I was dancing while I was in school, outside of the school, but I was dancing. And when I got out of the Army, I came back here in 2018. I took a job at home on the base here, Camp Robinson base. Came back home, and I said, well, hold on, you know, these kids need something to do. Basically, these kids need something to do because they out here running amok just like I was. So I implemented dance because dance is definitely a way that you can express yourself than going into turning into something negative, running to the fights, running to the gang bank, and running to the guns and all of that you see out here in these streets these days. So instead of being a part of that gang, let's be part of something positive, right? So I want to kind of take that into North Little Rock, to my old schools. North Little Rock is very different from when I went there. That's what I'm saying. Y'all want to get all this fancy stuff when I leave, but okay. Okay. I come back and the track gone. The track that was right here gone and all of that. They don't even use the front school no more. What's wrong with the front school? But all of that's gone. It looks very fancy. North Little Rock, East Campus ain't East Campus no more. And I'm like, okay, no more Lakewood over there. Okay, I got you. So I want to take this moment, and while I'm back here in Arkansas, and I really want to help the youth and kind of get them back on the right path. Because if we can catch them while they're young, that's why I started age 4. If we can catch them while they're young, we can start on that path, set them on the right path, and hopefully get them to a better place and a better life. Okay? So, thank you, God.
At this time, we will have a legislative update from Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Madam President. Not much of an update. What I think we're working on now is kind of heading into the closure of this particular legislative session. And what I'd like to do is get a compilation of all the legislation that was passed in the session regarding education, and then bring it before the committee. I don't know if that should be done during a regular meeting or a workshop, and that's going to be your decision. There were a few other bills that directly pertain to us, not every bill, but ones that directly pertain to our district. We'd like to pull all those together. Hopefully the session will be over by the next regular meeting, and maybe a little bit before then. I did see where there was a federal bill, a congressional bill, that was introduced, and that bill would raise teacher salary to a $60,000 minimum. It's just been filed, but it is gathering, of course, as you would think, really good support right now. I think the devil's in the details, but very interesting concept. And it's not a starting salary; it's a minimum salary of $60,000. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. At this time, 8, executive closed session. Executive closed session per North Little Rock policy 1.14A, stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or the resignation of an employee or to discuss matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in the executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in a public session and presents the items for vote of the membership. Further, Arkansas Code Title 26, Chapter 19, Section 106, 2C, 1 states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. Please join me in the executive session for discussing the following matters: employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or the resignation of an employee. board involvement. Okay. So no board involvement. At this time, we have board involvement. We will have the board member first down at the end.
Are we starting on my end?
Ms. West.
Again today?
Okay. Board involvement.
Okay. Yes, we have been so busy in things this last go round. On 222, went to 7th Street and read to Miss Lewis' class and then also Miss Robertson, and enjoyed that group out there. And 223 went to Camp Robinson for their Black History program, and some of the people with the museum there has agreed to give North Little Rock some books, one for each library that they're going to sponsor.
Awesome.
And they've asked to make the connection with you, so whenever your time permits, we can, try to get that set up.
Sure.
And just so happened that my dad is in the book, so you'll be able to see that too. So let's see here, 227 through 33. We had Read Across America at Amboy. Well, it was across America, so it was everywhere. So, but we did it big at Amboy because I do things big. So we had all kind of wonderful readers there. We had all kind of district personnel because nobody is, immune to getting a text to say, I need you. So let's see here. We had Miss Reddix, Jacob Smith, Miss McLean came, Miss Wonkum, Miss Williams, Dr. Hooper read, and Miss Hatch, Miss Lightfoot, and we had Dr. Stoll, she didn't come, but however, she did send somebody in her place. And that was really, really sweet. I appreciated that. And then they already knew that I was going to give her the business if she didn't show up. But I was so happy that she came. And on 3-9, I got to go back to 7th Street, and I read to 60 kindergartners by myself. Did Miss Hatch? Miss Hatch was there, too. Did I call your name? It was a bunch of district people there.
Thank you.
And then, I'm not done. I did a lot. 3-9 went back out to 7th Street. We had read to my 60 kindergartners. Only had to tell them to be quiet 3 times. They were so good. And then 313 and 314 back out to 7th Street, community forums. Yesterday we had the luncheon at North Little Rock High School with a very good group of students and had a great roundtable discussion. Dropped off some diapers to Ms. Riggins and had a meeting on about Tech Saturdays, something that a church is getting ready to start and would like some students from North Little Rock to talk about coding lessons. So that was about it.
Okay.
I been out visiting the schools, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Kenyon and Drake. They were 2 of the most kind, thoughtful boys I had been around along to at the in 7th and 8th grade campus. Drake, all those people walking, he stopped and held the door every time for everybody, and he was just so thoughtful, and I was just so impressed.
Well, I had the opportunity as well to attend the superintendent luncheons at 7th and 8th grade and in North Little Rock, and as I always promise them, I will give them their shouts out. So at the 7th and 8th grade campus, we had the following. We had Janice, who is the co-president of Student Council. We had Harmony, Ellie, Amaya, Keenan, Drake, Isabella, Carolina, Ella, DJ, Garrett, Kelsey, Charles, Javion, and Andre. And then I had the pleasure of being with the president, who is Autumn, the vice president, who is Stacy, and I had Jordan, and I think I listed everybody from 7th and 8th grade school. Then at the North Little Rock High School, our ambassadors were awesome. We had Skylar, James, Emma, Lexi, Tyler, Lark, Bethany, Avery, Jason, Micah, Aiden, and I'll call him the next Obama, Corey.
Ms. Welcome.
I too attended the high school campus, the 7th and 8th grade campus. Dr. P and a few other board members and I went to Nashville for a Ford NGL conference, and then attended a teacher retirement meeting, Amboy reading. Thank you, Angela, for that shout out. And then after the last meeting, I went down for the trivia night and got to hang out with some friends.
Ms. McLean.
I attended Lakewood PTA meeting in February, and they were honoring, some of the students were honoring famous Black Americans, and my grandson was one of those. He was a tennis player, Letha Gibson, and they had some choirs there that were awesome, and one of the grandmothers of one of the students even sang. It was great. I also went to Nashville with Dr. P and a couple of others here, where we visited a school that has had academies for several years now. That was very eye-opening and gathered lots of information. I also went to the luncheons that they talked about, and thank you for naming all the students. We rely upon you to do that. And attended the community meeting at 7th Street Elementary this week on Monday night. And then Tuesday, the North Little Rock Retired Employees Association, and we had Dr. Paluski speak to us, and they asked you questions about an hour. I think they could have stayed there for 2 more hours asking questions about the bats and everything, okay? Had to bring up the bats, okay? And I think that's it.
Dr. Steele?
Yeah, this 7th Street. A lot going on there. I think showed there was a lot of board support by many of you guys attending the meeting. Couldn't make it Monday, but it was there Tuesday, and been over there quite often. Just for Dr. Hooper on Saturday, I was at the first part of the game, but I had to go to a funeral. But 7th Street boys basketball won the championship,
All right.
which was great, and it went well. Even without Mr. Stone, who poured so much into the weekend basketball program, other people stepped up and kept it
Wonderful.
going. I was really proud of them. Went over to the high school, couldn't make it with you guys, but went by there, visited with several students, as well as, I know we're always so spoiled and used to winning, but I'm really proud of our girls. I went over to Hot Springs, and they made it to the championship game. This was supposed to be they called a rebuilding year. They did very well and almost won.
They did.
Is that all, Mr. Steele?
That's all.
Okay, we attended Nashville, Tennessee to look at schools that were academies, and this was the Overton School District. They had 59 different languages in one school. It was a very diverse school. Each academic program was on a different floor, but you had a principal on each floor. One principal, there was an enrollment of 2,000 students. Very educational, remarkable, that we are trying to learn how the academic schools function, and it was very informational, and that piece will be coming to you in the future from Dr. Paluski, and also these two, Miss Walkham and Miss McLean. We were the 3 that had the opportunity to attend. But it is awesome, and you'll see some of the things that we saw that need to be implemented in the high school. Number 1, the bells. Our bells sound like horror. It scares you. These were calming bells when the kids were just as nice, orderly, just everything. Anyway, I did everything that Dr. Paluski was about to talk about Monday and Tuesday, 7th, 8th grade, Amboy reading Dr. Seuss, North Rock High School, everything that he's done, we've tried to support it as board members. Thank you, Dr. Paluski.
Thank you, Madam President, members of our Board of Education. I'll go very fast. Hard to believe, almost back in February 22nd, I had the absolute, one of the privileges of my career, to meet with the Health Department and Arkansas Game and Fish over a bat infestation. So we've all learned a lot. I want to thank our community for their support, our employees, our teachers, of how we've handled the situation. On the 23rd of February, the Arch Ford Co-op that I had an opportunity to attend with about 40 other local superintendents. On the 23rd, the 38th annual North Little Rock Chamber Dinner, as I know many board members attended that as well. I had the opportunity to meet with Miss Cindy Dorma, who is head of the Boys and Girls Club here, and we talked about how to partner. Wonderful, wonderful conversation. Let's not forget, on February 25th, we had our workshop on capital improvement projects, and more to come on that topic. My wife Bianca and I, on March the 3rd, the Friday, had an opportunity to attend the Innovation Hub. There was a Make 48, and we had a team from Boone Park Elementary. Although they didn't win, they participated, and just so proud of them to be a part of that. As Ms. Williams, as many other board members, from the 6th to the 8th, we did attend the Nashville Next Generation Learning Professional Development. Obviously, this week, 2 community forums at 7th Street Elementary School, and as Ms. McLean said, I had the opportunity to spend at least an hour with our retired teachers. I always love to engage in a dialogue. They ask great questions, from BATS to the LEARNS Act. Yesterday, Ms. Hatch, both of our principals, Ms. Wells, we had an outstanding conversation with Baptist Health. We met over at the high school, and they want to develop a deep partnership with our school district around the academy. So more coming in the future. And then our superintendent and board luncheon at our high school. I want to thank Dr. St. Louis for her leadership. It was wonderful, the approach. We were all in the media center. I don't know how many students we had there, maybe close to 20, and just had a great open dialogue, and that was certainly a highlight of my week.
Okay. At this time, we will have CPC monthly report, classified. Is it anyone here from classified?
No, ma'am,
No.
Madam President.
Okay. Licensed personnel? Thank you.
Mr. Cobb. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good evening, Madam President Williams, Dr.
Good evening.
Bluski, school board members. Thank you for having us here again tonight. We are here to present our brief you on our February 6, 2023 agenda and minutes. This was a fairly short meeting. Item number 1 was about the school calendar and the results of a survey, which you've already approved the calendar, so we don't need to go further into that. Item number 4 was about a question about instructional minute changes, and I believe this was at the elementary level. I think there were questions about some legislation that is in session right now about the second recess. I think 40 minutes of the second recess,
Yes,
whether
sir.
that be classified as instructional minutes.
Yes, sir.
And we need more information on that.
So we're kind of waiting on that. Item number 5, normally once we finish the calendar is about the time we go ahead and start working on raises, and put a hard pause on that until we know more, just like everyone else is waiting to hear more. Nothing really came from there. And then item 6 was just an update on where we're at with working on the stipend schedule. So the committee had met, about 20 members met January 23rd, and principals started working to send out a survey to staff to get information about what are things already being done in the building that we need to look at, making those a stipend, a role that has a stipend with it. And so that information should be coming to you guys soon.
That this is an informational piece. Are there any questions or concerns?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You have any questions?
I don't have a question, more a comment that this was one of our shorter meetings, and I can tell you that with all the legislation that's being passed, our meetings are going to be, we're going to have a lot more to present to you in the future.
All right, and thank you. And thank you for your work that you all are doing. You're very positive, and that's what we're a team. We're all together on whatever. Okay.
Thank
No
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was good, was it not? That was very good. The report. Is something, Dr. Green?
Information.
Everybody wore their green today. What y'all gonna do tomorrow?
Madam President, members of the Board of Education, for the record, my name is Greg Paluski, the proud superintendent of the North Little Rock School District. Joining me, for the record, are my colleagues, Dr. Tori Hooper, the proud deputy superintendent of North Little Rock School District, Mr. Jacob Smith, our proud executive director of the North Little Rock School District, and Mrs. Mary Beth Hatch, the proud school coordinator of school innovation. Madam President, members of our Board of Education, we do not have any formal presentation. This is simply just to provide an update, as I know many of you have been involved in the process to date. Myself, Dr. Hooper, and staff, we've met with the staff at 7th Street Elementary School twice. And this week we had 2 community forums, one on Monday and one on Monday and one on Tuesday, that were very well attended. And it was a great dialogue and a great conversation about the future of 7th Street Elementary School. And I applaud our community for coming out and to show an equal passion for the children that we serve. And I think both of those had gone extremely well. There were some great questions that were asked, and I just applaud our community members for being a part of that. As promised, we did give a survey that you have in front of you, and we've put those public results out there. And as I go into those, that's why this is information. One of the reasons that this is information tonight, because we heard loud and clear from our community they wanted more time. And we're going to give our community more time. And I'll just hit the highlights on the survey. And as discussed at the forum, we wanted to give just a survey to the 7th Street community because it's their community, and their voice should be a little bit louder than everyone else's. And then we gave one to the overall community. So as you can see, the first question was, should we do something around renaming to the 7th Street Elementary School as it relates to the North Little Rock 6? So it was pretty close. 50% said yes, with a 46.4 that said no, and then 4 that had no opinion. And the second question, at about 71.4%, there's certainly not a lot of support for the name 657, which is why we do surveys like this, to get feedback. What are people thinking? And that was out of 28 responses at 7th Street Elementary School. The district survey responses, and thank you, Dr. Hooper, for putting those up, there were 595 responses. And an overwhelming, should we do something about renaming 7th Street Elementary School as it relates to the North Little Rock 6? 61.8 said yes, we should, versus 22.5 that said no, and 15.6 said no opinion. And very close in the second question, with a 41% was saying yes to the name of 657 and 39.7. And so when I look at those results, I think the overwhelming message is very positive that our entire community wants to do something for the North Little Rock 6 in the naming of 7th Street Elementary School. And certainly there doesn't appear a lot of support for the name of 657, and based upon this feedback and discussion, I will not be making that recommendation at this time for that name. I think it needs further exploration. I think it needs community engagement. If we go forward with the plan, remember that we have a community advisory board. This could be a great topic for them to tackle and for them to seek feedback in order to bring that forward. Certainly, that's something that not has to be done today, tomorrow, in a month, in a year. But certainly that's going to be my recommendation based upon this feedback to not bring that forward. And with that, that's really all the information that we have. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Smith to provide a 1,000-foot view, because part of this is the resolution and on the stipend. Mr. Smith has met with the LPPC regarding this topic. Again, this would be an action item, but this is only information because we've heard loud and clear from our community that they wanted more time, but I did want to provide an update from Mr. Smith, and then we're just going to turn it over to any comments or questions at this time.
Okay. Mrs. Steele, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. It's a question for you. Now, some of these questions me and you have talked about.
Yes, sir.
But several of them are in my phone, so I want to, for their purpose, know that I'm following up on some of the questions.
Sure.
But could I just ask one now, let them finish, and I'll come back?
Uh-huh.
Okay, just for on the name.
Okay.
That seems to be consistent with what I'm hearing is overwhelming support in the 7th Street area about naming the school in honor of the 6th, but not the name. But several people have asked me, now you're from the East, right? Or at least you taught, was a minister on the East Coast, right?
I was.
Is it true that several of the schools there are named after numbers?
No, what you traditionally see, that's a lot you'll see in New York City public schools.
New York City.
Correct. That's not something in the region of Maryland or Ohio or even overseas that I've been a part of. The simplicity of that was just providing history in and of itself just in 657. So that's kind of where that originated. If you remember all the way back when I first arrived, we started to have a conversation about the Rock 657. And again, just to start a conversation around that.
Right. And what I've been hearing is that, just the NLR6 or something.
Yeah, there's some really good comment. I think one that and there's some great suggestions in there. I do like the simplicity of the North Little Rock 6 Elementary School. I mean, that's pretty simple. And if that's what the committee or the community wants to bring forward, and that's a better name, so be it. And we want to make sure that what the majority of our community can get behind. But it is, I concur, Mr. Steele. It is nice that our entire community, whether it's 7th Street or everyone, wants to do something to name the school. I think to me, that's the big takeaway of this.
It's good news. Madam President, I'll yield to after their presentation.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? We can roll on. You got a report? They were all doing the same report. Is that understanding?
Yes, because there's a variety of documents, and basically, to summarize, Mr. Smith, basically they've met with the LPPC. Remember, we had to take that in 10 days. The LPPC did vote to approve the resolution that was presented to them. They did provide Mr. Smith with some feedback of some language that's in some other resolutions that we provided. So again, board not taking any action on that, but just know where we are in the process, that it's been approved by the LPPC.
Sitting there for support. If you had special questions, they could go to it, Mrs. Steele. Okay. So if you could want to continue with your question.
Just a few more.
Okay.
On the discipline issue, me and you have talked about that, but could you explain what the plan is to deal with the discipline issue, you or Dr. Hooper? How is it going to be different in the new proposed program than it is now?
Sure. Well, there's two things. We're in the immediate. We're adding some additional administrative support to that campus effective Monday, and I'll have certainly Dr. Hooper. She's been on site herself for the last 2 days, and I know Ms. Lightfoot, Mr. Logan. We've had a lot of our coordinators have been there as well to talk about currently. She'll talk about that. We've also talked about maybe a dean of scholars, but there's a lot of professional development. There's some systems and structures that have to be in place. And what we had talked about, if that's the need of that school, it needs to be staffed differently. As we move forward with the plan, we're certainly going to be able to provide that.
Okay. And having the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders on the same campus, there seems to be at least some concern and desire for more explanation about how those kids are continue to function in a separate environment. What's your response to that?
Sure. Right now, the proposal is over where the new wing is, where the 5th graders are, that we believe that, because that area, if you know through that hallway, there's a natural place to be able to not bridge or what's the word I'm looking for? A natural gap, so to speak, between the elementary school and the middle school campus. If we feel through this process that we need to do some construction to be able to add some additional areas for that barrier. We've also talked about we probably are going to need a separate entrance for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade campus as well as we move students in, which will be part of the plan as well. And the upside, which is why we're proposing an entire year out, because with the Community Advisory Board, we want to be able to seek that input and changes that would have to take place physically, building construction-wise. But I certainly would not recommend building another structure on top of that because we have this space available. We also talked about space available for the wraparound services, mental health services, medical clinic in that area as well.
And the reapplication for the positions, particularly how it's going to impact the teachers that are at 7th Street currently.
Sure. So in the reapplication process, as it's designed, all the individuals there have the right to reapply for any position that is available on that campus. And I think Ms. Williams had said it best the other night. If you're a good teacher, you're going to get hired as a good teacher, and we encourage all of those employees to apply for that process, which we would like to put in place very, very quickly. If they are not selected for that position, they will be reassigned to a like position within the school district. Mr. Smith and I and others are in that process right now, looking at current vacancies across the entire school district, looking at individual certifications to be able to make the right match and at the right school. And then, of course, the only exception to that would be a termination or a non-renewal.
I'm also glad that we're giving the community a little more time. I think the more time we give them, the more positive things I'm hearing back in the community about what's going on. Question that I have now is, as we move forward and you hear suggestion from parents, which they have quite a few suggestions.
Sure.
Once we approve it and you have to make a change for the plan, then what's the process of that, changing the plan once it's approved? Will you have to come back to the board to do that, or are we giving you some?
No, pretty much what the board is approving is the reconfiguration to approve to make it from a pre-K 5 to a pre-K 8. With that approval, we would submit that application to the Board of Education. The second vote would be the naming, and certainly, as I recommend, I think we need to hold off on that. The third vote will be in the stipend, the additional stipend for the $10,000 or $4,000.
Thank you, Madam President, for your patience.
Are there other questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss, are you doing yours?
They did not have a report. They were there for support if there were questions from our.
But if you do have a question about the transformation stipend.
No, I don't. I just want to say I appreciate. I had to pull these up. Appreciate everybody's hard work on this, and I appreciate the bringing attention back to what we need to have it at, and that's our children. And making sure that they are educated properly and have the tools that they need to be successful. And I just appreciate everybody's time and openness to feedback.
Dr. Reddy?
I did have a question. What kind of timeline are you looking at to try to get the process?
Sure. Well, in a not too distant future, it's going to be April the 1st. And so time is of the essence, at least for us to begin the interviewing of the staff members. And because we pretty much would have the month of April and the month of May. As you know, 10 days after the last day of school is when contracts and then being able to breach a contract. So we're up against the recruitment window, but we still feel confident that, getting that moving, which is certainly not a vote by the board. However, if the board took a position that they wanted to study the reconfiguration, maybe for a little bit longer, that can happen too. However, I would suggest we don't wait too long, because as we get into the month of May, I think we need to make a decision, because there's a lot of planning, as you can see, in order to make the sixth grade open in the following year, marketing. We would have the theme by then, get the staff in place. But if the board wished to, hey, we want to study this a little bit more, we want to get some community feedback, and then obviously the vote for the naming, that, not so much worried about that. But for us to get the infrastructure started, get our staff, as I've mentioned, we have 180 days until we open the next school year. So that's not a lot of time when you think about it, of what we've got to do. So in order to get the best and brightest, we need to get started the beginning of April.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Ms. Temple?
Yeah, I was just thinking, when we're adding the 6th, 7th, and 8th, we're going to be doing it over a 3-year period, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's going to be phased in. So in this upcoming school year, which will be 23-24, it will remain as a pre-K 5. Okay. Going into 24 and 25, it would add the addition of a 6th grade at a maximum of 75 students. The following year, a 7th grade, 75 students, and then an 8th grade. So it's really a 4-year process, 1 year of complete planning, and then a gradual phase in over time.
Okay, so my question's going to be, we would know pretty quick if there was an adjustment with the 6th graders being on there. When we add the 6th graders, if it's really, it's like some of the concerns the parents have, we would know really quick before we had 7th and 8th grade.
Oh, absolutely. When you're in that first year, you've got 75 seats of 6th graders. Yeah, it's still going to be a small school, and it's even a smaller middle school version. And I think that's the advantage of a phase-in. There's some approaches to this where you go complete 6, 7, and 8 at one time, and we just don't think that's a good way to implement. We think slow and steady over time gets us a strong implementation.
Okay, so I guess my question is, if there was issues, we as a board, we would reevaluate.
Oh, absolutely. I envision that we'll be providing updates all along. We'll have Ms. Hatch is going to get the community advisory board off the ground. She's going to facilitate that. I would anticipate in your weekly board reports you might get some minutes so you can see what the dialogue is. And again, that's the value of this model with the community advisory board, because their voice sits every single month and looks at data, listens, observes, makes observations, makes suggestions. Hey, maybe we need to add this, or maybe we need to subtract that, or maybe we need more mental health services. That's the value of that collaboration, what we call community collaboration, and a community accountability as well.
Okay. Well, I don't anticipate problems, but I just think it helps when they know it can be reevaluated.
As they say, failure's not an option.
Ms. Welcome.
I just want to say thank you. There was a lot of work that went into this. We have spoken about this 7th Street refiguration for, I feel like, weeks, if not months at this point. I understand that we've come to the public with it, but I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. I want the parents to know from the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, not only did we, the board members that were there, heard and we listened, but central office, you guys listened as well. You are already starting to work behind the scenes to put in some of those requests that they have brought forward, or some of those concerns. So thanks for paying attention. Thanks for listening. Some of those parents spoke about trust, and this is a new administration. This is not the old. So I don't see where the mistrust has been with this administration, but I understand the past failures. So I would just want to say thank you for going forward, that you have implemented trust, and I see the trust. So I hope others will get on board with that. So thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Ms. McLean?
Yes, I just would like to have a little more info on the naming of the school. Is there a timeline on that, or is it going to happen before school starts in the fall?
That's, and I would leave that up to the board. That is, I would seek your advice and direction to me. If that's something on one side, you could see the value of starting this new school year with a name, but I think the first step we got to take, get the community advisory board together, let them pour over these suggestions like the North Little Rock 6 Elementary School, and maybe what we have them do is narrow it down to 3 or 4 names or 2 names and do surveys out through the district. And I think the best approach to take is to let them drive that conversation. But I would also suggest at a minimum, when we open in the 6th grade, remember when we do that, we want to start marketing that school as early as November of December of this upcoming school year, because that's the new brand, that's the new vision of the school as it relates. So I would suggest the board would have some time to do that, but I wouldn't wait any longer than the fall. But if there's a lot of community support earlier, then let's bring it to the board for a vote sooner than later. I think based upon feedback, and if there's one name that pops out over another, so be it.
Is there still a way that people can offer up their suggestions for the name?
Absolutely. I believe, Mr. Barn, we still have that survey that's open, that's available. We're still getting feedback on that, as you can see, and some great feedback and some great names and some great suggestions. But again, I think the big takeaway is not only the 7th Street community, but the entire North Little Rock community wants to do something to honor the North Little Rock 6 in naming it something. I think that's positive.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all the great work that everybody that's been involved, and I know there have been a lot of you, so thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Pelosi?
Yes, ma'am.
Out of the 2 meetings we had Monday and Tuesday, the first meeting was only 4 families. Second Tuesday was only 1 family there. Everybody else was from out of the community. And it's got to be a way, if we can think, to get those parents to come out. And we had it 2 nights, but it's going to take parental involvement so they'll understand the importance of what we are trying to do as board members to help your children. And even with the survey, you only had 20 parents to discuss the school.
At 354 students. That's correct.
And Ms. Barker, which I know she's over there, that we have come out to give a plan. I don't care what we do, if we have to have something special one evening for all the student parents that attend that school so they can have a better understanding. Because 20 parents, 5 families out of 2 nights, there's no communications. Some people do not read, and we have to understand this. So we have to read the important issues, and to me, this is important for those children.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't want, we can worry about the name later, but I'm worried about, I won't say it out of my mouth, but you can say it as a superintendent, so people can understand, anybody that's listening tonight and hadn't heard about it, why it is imperative that we go ahead and get this school on the road. And what was the statement you made Tuesday night when you opened it up?
As it relates to a potential takeover, is that where you wanted me to go with that, Ms. Williams? It is. I mean, and that is the reality. With the LEARNS Act, we've had accountability before, and there's a higher level of accountability that is, and rightfully so, because we're dealing with children. We've got to hold ourselves as leaders, as boards, and hold our community accountable. In one of the best things that came out of those 2 forums that I heard loud and clear was it takes an entire community to change a school. Right. We can't do it by ourselves, and I think that's a positive thing and momentum for us to move forward. But we have to, and to that I know Dr. Hooper we've talked about, and she's engaged with Mr. McClellan and the PTA, and we've asked, does the PTA want a special meeting just for them? And if we got and I know Dr. Hooper's done this before, she's made individual phone calls to help to get the parents out. I think that's a good next step for us, is to sit down specifically with the PTA, try to get as many members, and let them have their own forum, and do everything we can to do outreach so we can get more parents there to listen to them.
Okay, because we can accept the point that the community is coming together to support 7th Street. It was like a class reunion up in there. And because they have heart for that school, and they know the debt and what it has meant to them, and they don't want it to see it fail. And Miss Barker was there, and for those of you who do not realize it, she was taking mentors, people who would like to mentor.
Yes, she was.
And also that 16 piece about having a advisory board. I do understand, you can explain that more while we got people perhaps listening to this tonight, that about the advisory board, please.
Sure. So as part of our E4 the Future transformation model, it's grounded in the community. And part of the proposal, and if you want to go into that document, calls for a community advisory board. It is at a minimum, Ms. Hatch had set that up, is at a minimum of 16 members, which include a minimum, could be more, but it includes parents, it includes students, it includes nonprofit, it includes faith-based community, it involves elected officials, business and industry experts to come together as a community, better understand the needs of the school, and be the advisement of next steps and continuous improvement. So anyone that is interested to be a part of that, please reach out to Mrs. Mary Beth Hatch, our coordinator of school innovation. I think to date, Ms. Hatch, how many individuals have signed up to participate on 20?
I'd say about 20.
20? Okay. That's good.
Ms. Williams, real quick.
Yes.
When I go on back to what, I'll piggyback off what you said, Ms. Williams, as far as the response back. I found that the lack of response from that particular school a little disheartening. And I know this is probably putting you on the spot, Ms. McFadden, but can you speak to anything as far as your challenges that you may have been involved, or that you've seen in the past, as far, is that typical as far as a low response from that school?
It is, and a lot of the communication, we do try to send it via girl share, which the parents get an email or a text. A lot of information we have on the system is not valid, or it's no longer in operation. So now our PTA president was out that day handing out paper flyers, and so we just don't get a lot of parental support in the school. Unless there's something, we have to send our human resource officer out often just to get contact for a parent if the kid is sick at school. So it's not uncommon.
So you're finding that sometimes phone numbers change pretty often, or they're disconnected?
They're no longer at the same address, or then maybe the parents may not be dropping off or picking up the student. It could be a friend, family, or someone else. And so it's just a difficult, we do have parents that do care, but some of them have transportation, their numbers change often, the addresses change frequently, and so it's difficult to get communication to those parents.
But if they have an event, if you would agree, that's the best time to get that input. Presentation from a student, any type of community event that you have parents coming, that would be a draw for them to complete that. So we'll have to think outside the box, other than we need you,
To come back for an evening meeting. So do you have like a lot of parental participation when it is like a honor roll ceremony or something, or?
We probably would get about 10 to 15% of the population to come to, even when we have a live Zoom for presentation for student awards, we may have 8 or 10 people on there. Even with, having some, we did have our Black History program back in February, and we did have quite a bit of parents come out, but there was a lot of students that were there that were presenting or performing at that time. And so, again, if our parents are fed, they likely do come out to eat or whatever. So yes, it is difficult for us to get that communication. We normally don't get an award meeting at the very highest 20% of our population of our parents to come out and support after school or even on the day.
So I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. McFadden. Appreciate it. And I'm sorry, I don't know, we've talked, but I don't know your name. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No, and I just want to close that out by saying I think we got to think differently. I mean, one of the things we've learned with pre-K registration, sometimes we got to go to families.
Yeah.
And if that means we got to go to, there's a nice community center in Shorter Gardens. We've been there during the fire. We're gonna work on thinking differently to get to them, because transportation, as she said, it could be a barrier. And so, how do we eliminate barriers as much as we can? So we'll certainly talk about not only a PTA meeting, but doing some community outreach.
Well, you know I'm game to help. Whatever's
Okay.
clever, baby.
Is there, since there are no, any more questions, we want to say thank you for your report. And Dr. Paluska, you will be continuously giving up.
Absolutely. But continuing providing additional
All right.
feedback and information, I think, as we have another couple of parent-specific meeting, maybe do a couple pieces of outreach
Okay.
for our community.
Thank you. Now, is Dr. Paluska, you're supposed to sit there because it's time for the safety. Are you and Mr. Fink? There he is, got on the suit tonight.
Got on his suit,
Looking
Sunday's best. Old Cowboys fan.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, again, my name is Greg Paluski, the proud superintendent of the North Little Rock School District, and joining me is Chief Hayward Finks, our Director of Safety Services. I often refer to as our architect of our redesign of safety services. We just wanted to provide you a quick update on where we are. We've gone through a reorganization. We're still in that second phase, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief to provide a high-level overview.
Okay.
So, good evening, Madam President, directors.
Okay.
Move your notebook and then pull it on closer to you.
Can you hear me okay? Move my notes around just a little bit here. So, good evening. As Dr. Paluski was saying, this is an update to the plan that was presented to the board on June 16th of 2022, which was a pretty significant reorganization of the Safe School Department. Several positions on that day were recommended, and since that time we have hired a safety IT manager, Mr. Kevin Johnson, safety systems technician, our crisis intervention technician, our security captain, 2 security sergeants, 11 armed school security officers, and then we've made quite a few hires to our campus supervisors, which will, going into the 2023-2024 school year, will be known as security officers. And so with that, the update of those positions, we also had other changes to the department, such as a name change from
Campus
Safety, Security, and Emergency Medical Services to Safety Services Department. We have issued new uniforms. Hopefully you have seen them for our armed officers right now. And then for the upcoming school year, we are in the process of designing new uniforms for our unarmed security officers for the next school year. We have updated our MOU with the North Little Rock Police Department to make sure it's compliant with best practices and recommendations from the Arkansas School Safety Committee. We have required all of our security officers to receive training and certification through the state of Arkansas, which is huge. That's something that the school district had not done previously, and now we know that all of our security personnel have been trained. They are credentialed. They have received the best training that any school district can provide as far as keeping the campuses safe. Other things that we have, some things that are still in progress, such as the behavioral threat assessment teams. We are in the process of training personnel throughout the district to serve on those teams, and then we will be putting that in place. That is a recommendation from the Arkansas School Safety Committee, the final report. We're making good strides on that, and I think by the beginning of the next school year that will be in place also. Some things that were presented in the plan which we have implemented We talked about upgrades to our visitor and volunteer management, which is Raptor, which has been put in place. It's working. We had a few little bugs we had to work out, but I think it's working pretty good in all of the schools. I think at last count, I didn't bring that number with me, but we've had quite a few volunteers and visitors that have gone through Raptor that are logged into Raptor, and right now it's working exactly the way we expected it to when it was presented. In addition to that, we recently brought Stop It on board, which is an app for bullying, anonymous tip, and anti-suicide counseling, which is on board. It's being utilized by our district. And so that's some of the highlights as far as things that was recommended. Another major component with the recommendation that came in June was the utilization and the purchase of OpenGate, which is our weapon detection system. If you remember when I came in June, we talked about we wanted to utilize it as a pilot program at the high school, and then if it was successful there, look at possibly implementing it at all the campuses. We feel like we have a pretty good plan down at the high school as far as utilizing OpenGate. We've had several other districts to come and look at what we are doing here in North Little Rock, including other regional districts that are that have and are in the process of purchasing OpenGate for their districts also. Based on what we have accomplished at the high school, we'll be coming before you later under action items as far as purchasing OpenGate for all of our campuses now. We want to put OpenGate weapon detection at the front entrance of every elementary school so that all visitors coming to the school would go through OpenGate. We can make sure that no weapons are coming into the building. It would not be utilized for students at the elementary schools, but it would be utilized for all visitors coming to the building. And then for any programs after hours, we will be able to monitor and scan all individuals coming onto the campus for those programs. And then it would also, we want to look at fully staffing the middle school with OpenGate. We have other detection systems there now, but we feel like OpenGate would be a better product to put there, and then it would enhance the overall safety of the campus. So that will be coming before you as an action item later on this evening. In addition to that, the Arkansas Safe School Committee, one of the priorities listed there is enhancements and adequate communication throughout all the campuses. The intercom system is a part of that, but two-way radio communication is a part of that also. So we have a recommendation to purchase 200 radios that will be provided to every campus. We've worked with some local vendors as far as the radios are concerned to make sure that we have a template so that right now all of our campuses have purchased radios at will, and we have a wide variety of different models and makes at different campuses. This plan is going to unify our communication so that whatever campus we go to, we will have a template. We can turn to that channel on the radio and communicate with the people at that school. We will also have the capability to talk across the district as needed as far as security and administration and as things happen, even with the buses, if we need to communicate across the district. So that would be a recommendation that will be coming also. And that's also a recommendation and a priority from the Arkansas School Safety Committee that was released earlier this year. So that's an update on some of the highlights and accomplishments since the reorganization, and as I stated, some of the things that we recommend to enhance the overall safety of the school safety department.
Okay, Dr. Reddy.
We learn a lot from students. And so in talking to the students, I don't know if you are aware of it, but at the high school, I guess it's, I don't know if it's OpenGate at both entrances where they come in, but I don't know if they are to be calibrated or what. but some of the students say if they come in through one door, the 3-ring binder or whatever may go off, but they can come in another door with the same things and nothing happens.
I don't doubt that happens. We can have a long discussion about the technology in the weapon detection systems. So they are designed and they are marketed to be to detect weapons that can cause mass casualties. 3-ring binders was not designed to pick up 3-ring binders, but because some of them, the metal in the binders, the volume of it, it might pick up, it might not pick up. There are some things that can...
It really wasn't. I just used that as an example.
Right.
The concern was the students felt like, I guess, like it needs to be calibrated in the sense that we had a student that literally said that it seemed like Monday and Tuesday they could walk through, not a problem. On Wednesday, it's sharper or whatever, everything gets detected. And then come Thursday, they have the same thing and nothing gets detected.
And I don't doubt that. I can tell you that we have tested the open gate. The test and the standard is to make sure that no weapons of mass casualty will come through. It would be firearms and extremely large knives. I don't want to... We can have a private discussion as far as exactly how those detectors work, but I can tell you that depending on the position of the 3-ring binder, when it goes through the detector, it may pick it up, it may not. And so that's why you could come through one day and it would go off, another day it won't. But I'm pretty certain, and we have tested to make sure that if a firearm comes through, it will pick it up.
Are there other concerns?
I was just going to say that makes sense what you just said to Dr. Redda's point, but that could be, I guess, something that's just a simple communication, like as far as open gate, this is what could happen and this is how it's designed to do X, Y, and Z. And, you know, and if your 3-ring binder, if it picks up, it's doing its job. I know we kind of talked about, was that you and I, we were talking about the, I guess when they come in the morning, they feel like they get hollered at, like take your notebooks, Chromebooks out your backpacks, you know, and instead of maybe we kind of thought like it could be like a recording in that area, like
in a nice voice.
Please remove your
because
Chromebooks. Please remove your Chromebooks from your backpack.
That is a great idea. I will admit I had not thought about that, but that would be good to have the recording. I know we have.
They say they're a little jarring in the morning.
Nobody likes to be yelled at first thing in the morning. Is what he said.
I'm sure our security personnel would appreciate that also because they probably
get tired of saying it. Yeah,
right. So that's something that we can look at, if especially at the high school, the way we have it designed at the front of the school, where we use the practice arena for the students to come in. We have a station set up for them to adjust items that need to be adjusted before they get up to the open gate detectors, and so that would be a great place to put maybe recordings. We do have signage up, but the recordings would be a great idea also. That's kind of relaxing even just to hear it, to have that as you walk down there.
He said, it's just like they just hollering at us early in the morning. I was like, well, no,
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
We'll seek someone with a calming voice to help us make those.
If you don't mind, I've got a few more. Mental health, would that fall under safety and security? Is that underneath your preview?
Portions of it does. I know all of the school resource officers are required to have a certain number of hours of mental health training, but we went a little bit beyond that. We required all of our security personnel to have training on mental health because we know a lot of the issues that we have to respond to, we can de-escalate better if we understand the mental health issues and the state of mind of the students or whoever they have to come in contact with.
Thank you for that. And then I'm assuming, so I'm asking, there's a protocol in place for the individuals that are flagged by that. I'm assuming it's the Raptor with
Correct.
the ID that goes through.
Yes.
So hypothetically, they're a felon or a misdemeanor, whatever it may be, sex offender. There's policies, procedures in place in order to capture that?
Yes, and we have had several alerts this school year, and it works very fast. As soon as that identification is swiped, phones start ringing, emails start popping up, and my team gets a lot of call from individuals saying what's going on, and we explain it to them what we need to do. But it has worked, I think, pretty well as far as capturing the information and making sure people are not just walking through that should not be in the school.
Okay, very good. And then our safety and services, our staff members and team members, they're all CPR trained?
Yes, all of our security personnel receive training in CPR and stop the bleed.
And first aid?
First aid,
Stop the bleed?
yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we reiterate that. As we honored Sergeant Sims and Ms. Wisnat, CPR is so important. So I just wanted to reiterate to our parents that not only do we have two amazing heroes, but we also have other people within our shadows that can perform and will be able to perform that if need again.
Absolutely.
And this is, I'm going to tattle, school IDs are not being enforced. Are we going to do a little better on that here soon, come August next school year?
Well, the school IDs are not, so Safety Services Department, we issue the badges and the credentialing for all staff members, and that is another part of the overall plan that we have worked on. Ms. Bale, who a lot of you know, has worked with us on that, and we have cleaned up a lot of permissions as far as the badging for people that had access they shouldn't have, or people that needed access they didn't have. So we're caught up, and we're in probably the best shape that the district has been in a long time as far as that. So the student ID badges is handled more by the individual schools and not by the Safety Services Department. But I can tell you that we have, the district has been working on enhancing protocols in the high school and the middle school, and paying attention to tardies and students that are not where they are supposed to be. So I can tell you that we have enhanced the usage of the student ID badges within the last 2 weeks, probably more so than the entire school year.
Okay, thank you for that. Final thing, I promise, then I'll be quiet.
That's fine.
I just want to say thank you, because the LEARNS Act that came through, I feel like they took our school and safety plan and they just copy and pasted it, honestly. That is the way I feel. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a leader within our district. Thank you for being a leader within our city. And thank you for taking the initiative of what needed to be done. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm done.
I just wonder if has there been much usage of the Stop It app?
I have the numbers. I was looking at the numbers a couple of weeks ago. We don't have, there has not been a lot of activity, but that's not unusual. When we looked into the Stop It app before we purchased it, we looked at other school districts of like size and how often it was being utilized. And so the anonymous reporting was the most used, but as far as and the bullying, anti-suicide was not used, the counseling services was not used as much, but we felt there was a benefit to have it available for whenever, that instance that it might have. So we've probably about a month into Stop It, and I would say on roughly probably 15, maybe 20 cases where we have that we have received information about or passed on, and that's probably would be in line with what other districts that utilize the app would see also.
I feel like the roundtable discussion that we had with the high school the other day, that generally they all felt safe at the school. There were some issues where they were talking about the 3-ring binders, for example, but I just think all of the things that you have put in place are fantastic. And I feel like our parents should be feeling very good about their kids being safe in our schools. Thank you.
And one other thing about the 3-ring binders, I forgot to mention, we did get an update from the Open Gate Technology Department about 2 months ago. And so that update, The update was something that we brought to their attention because the 3 green binders were not supposed to be, should not have gotten an alert from the beginning, and we was telling them that, that was one of the things we noticed a lot. We were getting alerts. So they sent an update, but even with that update, we still get occasional 3 green binders. And that just depends on the size and the way it's, like I said, in the backpack or whatever when they come through. So, but that is something that we had brought to their attention, and they sent out an update nationwide based on the information that we sent to them on that.
Mrs. Steele, did you have any questions?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions. Thank you, Chief. I think you have some really hard-working people working for you. Chief Corbin and others are coming together and doing a good job. My concern is still the fights. Just a lot of fights, and now we're kind of getting a perception of there's a lot of fights that are happening in our school district. Primarily middle school. Certainly you talked about we needed the CPR training because it was a result of a big fight that we had at the high school. What are we doing with that, and is there any type of investigation after the fight to kind of try to find out how it started, where it originated? Because, I mean, I'm nosy and be listening to kids, and sometimes kids can tell you, there's going to be a fight today. And I don't know if that's social media they're hearing it on, but I know that, Superintendent, you had talked about bringing somebody in who would kind of keep an eye on things like that. And I think it may help if we knew ahead of time that there was a possibility of something that was going to happen that may spill over from something that happened on a weekend or evening or night before. And that's just not in our school district. There was a fight at the mall not long ago. So can you respond to that?
Can we give the high-level overview? No.
Okay.
So if you remember, I don't know, it was probably February 22nd. I can remember it. The week prior to that, at executive team, we launched Operation Step It Up. And what that means is we've launched 2 Tiger teams. Tiger teams stand for Targeted Immediate Group Execution Response Teams. Tiger Team 1 has joint commanders. That's Chief Finks and that's Dr. Hooper. They meet every single day after school with all the high school administrators and all the safety services. They have a protocol in place that goes from what happened when students entered school today, what happened in transition to grade level, what happened to class, what happened during lunch, what happened at the end of the school day, and we track their data every single day. We discuss how many fights happened today. We discuss how many teachers are out that day, how many campus supervisors are out that day, and a whole checklist of items. We have Tiger Team 2. Tiger Team 2 is deployed to the 7th and 8th grade campus. That has 2 joint commanders. That is Miss Amy Jordan and Captain Corbin. They are the 2 leaders. They do the exact same things that the high school is doing. And one of the things that we found, Mr. Steele, is that the school administration and safety services on the ground weren't talking to one another. And when you can get those campus supervisors together, they are the eyes and ears of that school. They know what kids are talking about. And we have found, just by bringing everybody together and start talking about systems and structures and protocol, we've seen a decrease in fights. In fact, every single day we get a text message collectively as a team, how many fights today? In that team, Tiger Team debrief, they talk about where did it happen. Who was it between? What was the cause of it? Was it something in the community that spilled over? So we're trying to be proactive. I will tell you, and Dr. Hooper could jump up here too, we've seen an immediate decrease in fighting. Has it completely stopped? Absolutely not, but we've decreased it. We've actually decreased tardies at the high school, and so we put a lot of systems and structures into place. I know personally, I've done bus duty. periodically at the high school as well, all hands on deck. And I can tell you by the team and us all working together, we've deterred fighting in certain places within the school. I mean, we could go deep dive into that. In fact, maybe what we could do or should do is come back with a full presentation of each Tiger team. They're tracking all that data every single day. In fact, somebody said the other day, when are we going to stop meeting after school? And I said, until I tell you that we're not going to meet after school, because until we fix this, and just by that coordination, I'll let both of them talk. Miss Jordan wants to jump up here. They can talk the high school, and they can talk the 7th and 8th grade campus as it relates to.
And I will speak to Ms. Wonkum, asked about the IDs. We are really pushing the student IDs. We've even, with technology, are working on getting another machine because we were pushing the admin team. We gotta push it. We're trying to track the number of students and the name of students that are leaving the campuses for early dismissal. So we are tracking that. So what I can do as deputy superintendent is start putting that in your weekly board report so you can see those numbers and how we are tracking fights within the campus. However, since that big event that was at the high school, Dr. Paluski did launch the Tiger team, and we have seen a decrease in fights. We are being very specific on who, where, how, why these fights are occurring. Some of them are between siblings. They're bringing it in the school. They couldn't wait to get home. But we are seeing a decrease, and it is causing everyone to be on guard.
Any of the students helping?
With the fights?
Yes, helping give you information with the fights,
Yes,
not to get
absolutely.
anybody in trouble or anything.
Yes.
We're getting a lot of information from students that are helping us to be in the right place to make sure fights don't occur. I can tell you the social media has a lot to do with the fights in the schools. We have, we know from social media where we have students that are calm, walking down a hallway calmly, and then they get, in one instance, they met up with another person, and it was like, how you doing? You ready? And then they start fighting like they're trying to kill each other. And it's social media. And one thing that we are already working on and we want to do in the future, we're using our cameras to make sure we not only identify the people involved in the fights, but the students that are running to the fights and videoing the fights because that contributes a lot to what's occurring. So we're making sure that when these fights occur, every student that we can identify that's a part of that problem, we want to make sure that it's being addressed.
But we're also, Mr. Steele, in our Operation Step It Up, we have a checklist beyond the Tiger teams. Ms. Barker, who was supposed to present tonight, we debrief this every week in executive team. Where are we with our mentors? We put the call out to get to the high school, and then we heard, well, what's going on with the bats? And we'll wait till you get that fixed, and then we'll come. Mr. Logan has led. We know we need to take a deep dive into our discipline policies and procedures. He's been working on that. He's been working with the administrators, getting feedback, from suspensions. And so I suspect coming into this next school year, when we bring you the student handbook, we're going to be making some changes and recommendations for discipline. We've also talked about transportation. When you look at one side of our organization, I'll give you a good example of how it impacts another side of the organization. We're down, I think, 6 bus drivers. And so what happens, and we've all been there on duty after school, is that when those high school kids, and I applaud Dr. Hooper, because what we started to do under her leadership is we're dismissing by tower. So that gives us a little bit of time. So everybody's not out at bus duty at one time. And so what we found is because we have a lack of bus drivers and they're doubling up on duties, all the buses are not there at after school. So we sometimes, and all of us have been there maybe 30, 35 minutes after the bell, and we know if we have large groups of kids together for long periods of time. So we've been trying to brainstorm that. What do we need to do with incentives for bus drivers? Do we need to think about giving bus drivers that have those split shifts maybe work during that period? So we're trying to think differently, but I give that to you because we're one side of the organization where we're short is impacting another part of the organization when buses are not there on time. And it's our bus drivers work hard. It's not their fault. They're trying, they're doubling up on multiple runs just trying to get there, but it's the lag time in between when those buses get there ends up being, a concern. So I think, again, as we all are passionate about, we got to continue to do something for our classified individuals in pay. Bus drivers, just like teachers, a national shortage. Ms. Coleman's, they're all doing the best they can down there, and they're hardworking people. But to retain them, we've got to think differently in compensation for our classified and our custodians and our, all of our classified.
Transportation workers don't get paid over the summer. It's a big issue for a long time, Dr. Williams, with them.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, unless they're doing a summer run. But yes, they traditionally. Yeah. I think there's a lot to unpack as it relates to.
They do now, so 24. Oh, yeah, we did stretch that out. Yeah.
But I just give that as an example of when we're talking security, how one side of the organization's short, and it ends up impacting a safety and security piece. But we would be happy to come back with each Tiger team and give you some hard data since
Absolutely.
we put that in.
Also, to follow up, Ms. Steele, you mentioned Captain Corbin. As a director, I would like to take just a second. We have an absolutely great safety services department. Captain Corbin is doing a great job working with the department. We have Sergeant Kimbrough and Sergeant Reggie Parks at the high school and the middle school. We have Mr. Kevin Johnson, who's overseeing our IT department, and many of you have met Mr. Eubanks, who is doing our crisis plan and Raptor and Stop It and a lot of other things. Mr. Corey Patton, who helps with Kevin Johnson in our IT department. Mrs. Bell, Nita Bell, who is helping us with the badging and credentialing. Unfortunately, over the last month and a half, I think we've had to relocate 2 schools, Ridge Road due to a fire issue, and then the middle school. And so the reunification plans that we have that have not been completely distributed, but they worked pretty good for those instances. And I would like to recognize also Ms. Kathy Hill, who works with the Safety Services Department and helps us with the reunification. And so we have an absolutely great team, and I just want to take just a quick second to make sure that and then all of our security officers, our CSSOs, I won't go through all the names, but we have some great people that are working for the district providing safety services for the students and staff.
May I add one? I'm sorry. I want to make sure because I just wanted to add,
Go ahead.
Madam President, if I may. Chief's a very humble person, and Dr. Hooper. When you study mass casualty events in school safety across the United States, one of the biggest gaps that school systems have is the reunification process. What happens when we got to move all these students to another location and make sure we're getting in then the right hands of the adult? That's hard. And I want to commend the leadership of Dr. Hooper, Chief Finks, the entire executive team, that we did it the first time and practiced. And I was in Nashville, I wasn't here. And it worked flawlessly. Think about this. We've moved 1,200 middle school students and staff in 45 minutes to the arena and reunited. And the reason I'm bringing that up is that was noticed by the community. I saw communications from parents that said, wow, what a plan to put in place. Want to commend our coaches. Our coaches stepped up. They helped out at the high school. Dr. St. Louis, Ms. Wisnat. It was overwhelming. IT, I mean, we could go on, but that unification, to pull something off that fast, takes leadership and it takes coordination. And I'm very proud of not only these two, our executive team, for how they did that in such a short amount of time. Speaks to the planning and the commitment of the individuals that we have in our school district.
Anyone else? I just want to say I'm proud of you for doing the bus duty, and I just want to recognize you for returning phone calls, because I'm waiting on phone calls from other superintendents I ain't got yet. So I appreciate you for calling parents back.
you know, and I always make sure I tell people if they call you or leave you a message or send you an email that you will get back with them. It may be next week, but he will get back with you. Just be patient because he's busy. But and you too, Dr. Hooper, you will call a person back, you will email back, and even answering simple questions. So I just appreciate, I mean, and I remember you said when you first got here about be the change you want to see. And that stuck with me, and you're exemplifying that by getting your walkie-talkie and going to bus duty. Because very rare you will see a superintendent of a school district do the work that he says that he wants. So I
And
appreciate
Deputy
that.
Superintendent.
I saw
we
Dr.
had
Hooper today,
administrators
honey. She
over.
had her little walkie-talkie.
So I know we passed one employee, and they're like, Dr. P, you're doing bus duty today?
Yeah.
I was like,
So I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. You got
Real quickly, just because it was brought up, to make sure that the public knows that, yes, we are working on the fights. The fight and what happened to the employee was two totally different incidents.
Yes.
It was not caused by the fight. It just happened to be that it was a big brawl at the same time simultaneously. It did not cause what happened. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Hey, and I gave you a compliment yesterday from the students from the high school. They said it's a little different, but they enjoy feeling more safe now because you are making those security people more accountable. And they expressed that. I said, well, how you feel? They said, it's different. And the reason it's different is because you came in to eliminate the fights that you put these people together. And now they're saying, she didn't do her job this evening, and you need to do that. And I think that has really helped because they said, wow, it's different. So you ought to be commended, and thank you. Anything else? We can roll.
Just testifies to the new administration.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Paluski. At this time, Dr. Paluski, you are on the action item. Thank you, Dr. Chief Finks. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Hooper.
Madam President, the superintendent recommends action item 12.1, the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam President, I move we approve action item 12.1, employment of personnel.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept employment of personnel. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. The action is carried.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends action item 12.2, the purchase of open gate weapon detection as presented by Chief Finks in open session.
Madam President?
Yes.
I so move that we approve action item 12.2 for the open gate system.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve the purchase of the open gate weapons detectors. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried.
Madam President, action item 12.3, the superintendent recommends the purchase of the Motorola two-way radios as presented by Chief Finks in open session.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I move that we approve the purchase of the Motorola two-way radios as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded with the purchase of the Motorola two-way radios. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends 12.4, the approval of playground fall protection replacement. This is to, in all of our playgrounds, to take the wood chips out and then to be able to replace them with rubber to be able to support the child if they would fall. If there are any questions, I'll certainly have Mr. Brown, if there are any. If there are not, we'll...
Just quick question, and we don't need Mr. Brown, but is this the same thing the lady at 7th Street was referring to when she asked a question about
I'm
the
trying
playground?
I'm trying to think of the question.
Dr. Hooper, was that the same?
Okay.
Because she was saying that the mulch was, I guess.
The mulch, I do know that. Yeah, yes. The answer to that is all that will be taken up,
Dissipating,
Mr. Steele, and this will
yeah.
be replaced.
Could I have a
Thank
motion,
you.
please?
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we approve the playground fall protection replacement.
Second.
Been moved and properly second that we have the approval of the playground fall protection replacement. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The action is carried.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the next item is to recommend the North Little Rock COE School Recognition Fund. You see by the yellow sheet for their performance, they get an incentive bonus, and then they get to decide what do they want to do with those funds. So proud of the Center of Excellence for their academic accomplishments that allows them to have these extra funds. The funds are being recommended to be distributed to all those employees.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we accept the North Little Rock Center of Excellence Recognition Fund.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept the approval of the North Rock Center of Excellent Recognition Funds. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move we approve item 12.6, disposition of the minutes, regular meetings, February 16th, 2023, and item 12.7, disposition of the special meeting minutes, March 2nd, 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we accept recommendation of disposition of minutes for February 16th and March 2nd. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the consent agenda items 13.1, bank reconciliation, 13.2, net legal balance worksheet, 13.3, monthly financial reports, 13.4, business office items, 13.5, payment of regular bills. And 13.6 would be the approval of the consent agenda.
Do we have a motion?
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept Dr. Paluski's recommendation on 13.1 through 13.5 with the bank reconciliation, the net legal balance, the monthly financial reports, the business office items, and the payment of the regular bills.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded we accept the consent agenda 13.1 through 13.6. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The motion is carried. At this time, we will have acknowledgements.
I just have one, and that is 14.1. I would like to recognize every single employee at our annex building. You know, not too long ago, we had a sewage backup, and I had the opportunity to visit the basement with Mr. Nannon, Dr. Stoll, and some employees, and it is unacceptable. I will not allow the, yesterday I made a decision that the IT department will not be going back to that basement, and I've walked that building. Dr. Stoll is the lead administrator over there. I'm not telling you anything that everybody doesn't already know, but I can, we all know this. Our primary responsibility is children. Our second responsibility is our employees. Our employees over there work so hard. They have not complained. They've done everything, and it is just at a point where it is just absolutely unacceptable anymore for our employees. And I would ask all of our employees to come and take a walk with me to draw attention that we have to do something for our employees. I want to recognize all of our employees at our annex campus.
Yay.
That's just an awful bit.
It's awful.
It is.
Yes, Mr. Steele. It's right beside the sophomore campus.
Where could we put them temporarily?
I had a long conversation with Mr. Brown. Right now, the technology department, most of the techs are in schools.
Okay.
We're working with our administrators to make sure they have a space. Mr. Nannon and Miss Maggie are here. That's kind of phase one. Let's get them out of there. Phase two, where are they going to land? And then the bigger question is a bigger question of space. I did ask Mr. Brown to work with our real estate agent. Is there available space in North Little Rock? I just think we're at a point we have to make this a serious conversation as a temporary, because it's no longer acceptable to work in that building.
And just to go off of what you said, when I went over there to drop some stuff off to Miss Riggins, you know, I just saw a need there that she has to have some type of
Correct. And
major storage and major type of setup.
Correct, and I think we need to look at a separate space for Miss Higgins or Miss Riggins, who does a phenomenal job serving our community, and she's got a lot of resources, and I think that we're taking that into consideration.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other acknowledgement? Yeah, you right here.
Have we spoken to the city regarding our building swaps and what's available?
That's
I know you mentioned the real estate.
That's also in tandem with this conversation.
And we have that octagon thing too, right?
We do. You just approved in the budget office items a whole host of jump-started items that are already happening at the octagon building. So right now our plan is to move the entire special services under Dr. Stoll's leadership in there, but we'll see what we have available to get all of our employees out, but it's past due time.
Next week is spring break.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
There's a lot of smiling faces out there,
Are you
Ms.
excited,
Williams.
or do y'all
All
want to
the
come to work
teachers,
next week?
Students, you
They
need
looking
this
like,
break.
nah.
Take advantage of it. Be safe. We want to see you come back. Just be safe. And teachers, you deserve this. You administrators, and especially to the custodians who have had to work overtime and in time for things to meet the needs of the buildings, clean up situations. And we just want to give them a shout out and say thank you so much for all the hard work. And I want to thank this team. You know, we say now we're a family of board members. That's what Miss McLean called us. She said, we family now. And so that to me, I want all of us to feel family, that we can come together and make North Rock the best district in the nation.
That's right. That's right. Madam
And
President,
with that thought, if there's nothing else,
I move that we adjourn.
it's been moved and properly second. We adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.